Hey, what's up everybody? I'm on the road doing some IRL stuff, but I thought it would be funny to do a video. Ignore the shit in the background and my hair. But since we missed the AMA this week, I thought it would be good to do a little drive and talk session. I've also been a follower of this guy on YouTube who follows Tesla. He sometimes does videos where he basically just drives around in his Cybertruck and talks. But I figured it'd be good to address some of the things happening with the Leoverse lately. I've just been really busy, so between doing everything with LeoDex and then just the general work and upkeep, and then some stuff I've got going on IRL, which should be done by tomorrow, I've needed to take a little break from the AMA just this week. And Mitch and I may try to do an AMA tomorrow, so if you're watching this, there might be an AMA on Thursday. But anyways, I thought it'd be fun to talk about LeoStrategy and what's happening with the Surge token, because I think there's some misconceptions about Surge and what it is and what it does. I'm really excited with LeoStrategy. I did not expect them to have something like this live so quickly. I thought perhaps it would take at least a few weeks, if not a few months. But yeah, I think it's really awesome what they've built with Surge and what's in the pipeline to come next. There's a handful of things with Surge that I think we all need to understand. I've seen that some people may not understand it all that well. The first thing to understand about Surge is that it has a $1 floor price. What that means is it's always going to be worth around $1. Similar to HBD, it may be a little bit above that, a little bit below that, but it should be worth somewhere around $1. There's a few mechanics in place that drive that. The biggest one being that the redemption value is essentially $1. So the liquidation preference is $1. That creates a floor price where, worst case scenario, LeoStrategy decides to call back the shares and they're worth $1. So you know that you're going to get $1 for each surge that you've got. The initial sale right now is for 90 cents per surge, or roughly 90 cents, fluctuating with the high price a little bit, but basically around 90 cents per surge. Surge tokens after the initial sale, you're going to get about $1 or more for each surge if it's trading higher than $1. So knowing that the floor price is $1, that makes you wonder, is this a stable coin? People are comparing it to HBD because of the 15% HBD yield that you can get. So I would say it's a little bit different because it's kind of like HBD, but it's got a call option attached to it. I just want to walk through each step. The first thing to understand, it's got a $1 floor price, so you know that you're buying it for 90 cents now, and it should be worth no less than $1 at liquidation preference. So you essentially know, okay, I'm buying this thing for 90 cents, it's going to be worth $1 or more. The call option part of things is basically what it means is it's an out of the money, perpetually dated, which means that there's no expiration date, but essentially an out of the money call on LeoStrategy or LSTR tokens. So what that means is 50 Surge can be converted to 1 LSTR at any point in the future, and there's no expiration on that. When LSTR trades over $50, you would be wise to convert your Surge into 1 LSTR at some point where it makes economic sense. So the day it hits $50, there's probably gonna be some conversions, but it actually makes a lot more sense once it hits like $55 or a little bit higher. Let's say that LSTR hits $100, and that's when you choose to convert. Most people will convert somewhere between 50 and 100. But let's say you wait until 100 and then you convert. Each surge will be worth $2. Why? Because if you have 50 surge, you convert it to 1 LSTR, which is trading at $100. That means the surge has an instant conversion price of $2 per surge. What makes this interesting is you get the upside of LSTR and the Leo token, because LSTR is inherently linked to Leo in terms of price action. You get the upside of LSTR growing, but the downside protection of the floor price being $1. You get a token that looks a lot like HBD, where it's worth about $1 at all times and pays you yield. LSTR's Surge token pays you 16.67% yield every week, which is better than HBD because it pays you once a month. If you auto compound weekly instead of monthly, you end up with a higher APY. Someone in the comments can work out the math on that. Just say your APY is about 16.67%. You're getting paid weekly instead of monthly versus HBD. The real key where it's different is you still get upside. HBD gives you downside protection because it's worth about $1. Surge also gives you downside protection because it's also worth about $1. But Surge, where it differs from HBD, is where you actually get upside, because if LSTR, say, goes to $100 per share, you doubled your money sitting in Surge. And by the way, that entire time you waited, let's say that LSTR, it takes a whole year. I think it'll honestly be less, but let's just say it takes a year for LSTR to hit $100. You got paid yield on your Surge tokens until the day it hit $100. And I'm talking about LSTR hitting $100. So that entire time you had to wait in order for LSTR to hit $100, you were getting paid yield every single week. So there's a lot of value in having something that's a stable asset that's paying you yield every single week. But then I think there's even more value in the fact that you have downside protection, getting paid yield every week, and you get upside exposure, which is theoretically unlimited. Once that call option is in the money, if anyone here knows much about options, I got started with options trading 13 years ago. That's how I got started in all of this finance, really crypto stuff, was with options. If you know anything about options, when an option is out of the money, it is essentially just worth the time value of that option. This is a perpetual option, so it never expires, so that's a little bit different here. But the thing that's the same is when that option is in the money, well, now it's worth not only the time value, you have to also add in actual potential realized value of that option. If LSTR is trading at 100, each Surge token is trading for at least $2, because you're not only able to convert into LSTR at $100 or at $50 when it's really trading for 100, you're also earning yield. So there's extra value there on the table. So I think if LSTR was trading at 100, Surge would be slightly higher than $2. But at any time you could convert for $2. The base price of Surge basically just moves up, where it's at $1 right now because it's the liquidation preference. Once LSTR hits $100, the base price of Surge is now at $2, because at any moment it can be converted for one LSTR token per 50 Surge. One last thing I'll say before I jump off of this, I just put up a thread. I actually am thinking of Surge in this interesting way where it's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if Surge tokens sell out, I think that would drive LSTR to pretty close to $50 per share. I was just running some kind of napkin math on this, which I'm sure they've done more math around. It is actually kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because there's 500,000 Surge in the initial sale. That raises approximately 2 million Hive, which is then used to buy Leo. If the Leo price were to stay the same, which I expect it'll probably go up, that would buy anywhere between 1 and 2 million Leo, and it would be added to the LeoStrategy balance sheet. So simultaneously, Leo is increasing in price and LSTR is adding more Leo to their balance sheet, which means that the LSTR token value actually increases. So the value of LeoStrategy's increasing while they're increasing the price of Leo because they're buying it off the market. They're adding Leo to their balance sheet. The initial sale is already selling out a lot, so the velocity of it seems to be high. I think they've mathed this out to be a self-fulfilling prophecy where if Surge sells out, then I think LSTR starts to trend towards $50 pretty quickly. What that will do is all the Surge token holders are actually now going to be holding something that is a in-the-money call option that's also paying them yield. Some people are going to hold on to that conversion option because they want the yield. We'll have to see the game theory behind what people do with that. What's fascinating about it economically is that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because by buying Leo with the Surge profits, they're actually driving up the price of the asset on their balance sheet. Meanwhile, adding more of that asset to their balance sheet creates kind of an exponential factor. It's all really fascinating economically. I just think it's really interesting to see what they've built with this. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it progresses. Like I said, I think what ends up happening is the Surge token sells out probably, my guess is within 2 weeks. I think it's honestly possible that it sells out in less than 2 weeks. A big reason for that is once people see the first yield payout come out, that's going to drive people, in my opinion, because right now the unknown is people questioning the yield. I don't really question the yield. I think LeoStrategy has a long road ahead. It would be kind of dumb to not pay out the yield on it. I'm interested to see what happens in terms of LeoStrategy starting to pay the yield and then people just running for the hills to buy it, because they realize that, one, it's a call option that has unlimited potential upside, and two, it's a yield-bearing token, so you're earning 16.67% APY or APR, which is better than what you'd earn with HBD. The other factor being that it's got a stable price of $1. So for an undisputed fact that it's going to be at least $1 in the future, it's actually a really solid hedge for anyone that's made a lot of profits in crypto in general, and especially if you're in Leo lately. Just my thoughts. Hopefully it wasn't too ranty, but I am very excited about what LeoStrategy's doing. I think mirroring the MicroStrategy playbook is a genius move, especially with an economy like Leo, where the economy now has a limited asset, so it's like Bitcoin in that sense. LeoDex is growing insanely quickly. I think it's all getting really interesting. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on Threads.